Progress in engineering technique and the study of streamlining have determined the evolution of the vehicle. From this evolution of modern technique was born the Vespa. Handlebar die-cast in one single piece, Vespa. Monocoque body as in the modern automobile technique, Vespa. Efficient and comfortable suspension, Vespa. Engine operating directly on the wheel, no chain, no vibrations, Vespa. Vespa, the most sold motor scooter in the world. Vespa, 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 Vespa.
Say,
What is it?
hey, why it's Buttercup. Popcorn, add sweet green butter to hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born.
It's delicious.
So nutritious.
It's a taste delight.
It's so munchy,
Crisp and crunchy.
you'll enjoy each bite. Eat butter-drenched Buttercup, popcorn at its best.
Served in a king-size cup.
It beats all the rest.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy Flavo shrimp rolls now at the snack bar. They're shrimply delicious.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to announce that we've installed Burns-O-Matic in-car heaters for your comfort and pleasure. When you receive your heater, you'll find it very easy to place in your car. Just roll down your front window and rest the heater's bracket on the window with the cylinder on the outside of the car. Roll up your window securely as far as it will go to hold the heater firmly in position. For maximum results, tilt the face of the heater towards the windshield and sit back and enjoy the show in healthful comfort. With these modern, safe, efficient in-car heaters, this drive-in theater will now remain open all year round. If you have any further questions about your Burns-O-Matic in-car heater, please contact one of our theater attendants. And remember, this drive-in theater will now remain open all year round, regardless of the weather. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat. Fresh popcorn, delicious and crisp, with or without butter. Sizzling hot dogs, bursting with juicy goodness. Tender, tasty hamburgers with all the trimmings. French fries, crisp and golden brown. Thirst-quenching, refreshing, ice-cold drinks.
The whole family's getting together to show Dad how much he's appreciated. It's so nice to have a man around the house. But here's an extra surprise. Somebody's treating the whole family to the most enjoyable gift of all. Get the hint? Take Dad and the family on a pleasure-filled outing to the movies at our special Father's Day show, Sunday, June 21st.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie.
The world's most famous lion tamer, Clyde Lionheart.
Popcorn, fresh popcorn at the snack bar.
Now, Clyde Lionheart will have Leo jump through the flaming circle while he, blindfolded, drinks a Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, ice cold Coca-Cola at the snack bar.
It's intermission time. Time for refreshment. During the next 10 minutes, you're invited to visit the refreshment stand, where you'll be greeted with fast, friendly service. You'll find hot dogs, juicy hamburgers, and mouth-watering delicious pizza. There are refreshing hot and cold beverages, ice-cold cola, and orange drink. Goes great with an order of crispy French fries. Then there's a wide selection of your favorite candies and other delicious snacks. And there's always a fresh batch of hot buttered popcorn to go with the rest of the show. So visit the refreshment stand now during this 10-minute intermission and add to your enjoyment of the movie. We're happy to have you with us tonight and hope you'll come back often.
Its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patron.
Just a minute, folks. Yes, that's all it takes to visit our refreshment counter in the lobby. There you'll find popcorn and an assortment of popular candy bars to please every taste. Try one of these delicious candy bars. Big Time, Butternut, Milkshake, Payday. Topped with Hollywood's super rich coating of the kind you like best. They taste wonderful, they're delicious. They're nutritious. Get one at our confection counter in the lobby now.
Mandela to Ghost. I repeat, Mandela to Ghost. Are you receiving me? Are you really gonna Mandela to Neo.
See? That wasn't so hard now, was it? Communication received, Mandela. What's up?
You're killing me here, which is honestly quite the accomplishment, all things considered anyway. What's your progress on the lists?
Well, I've looked through everything you gave me. I feel like I have to mention, though, some of what I found is kind of, weird. Even by my standards.
I wouldn't have sought your expertise out for anything short of weird, unconventional, or even disturbing. Whether I like it or not, it's kind of my thing. What have you got?
Okay, don't say I didn't warn you. So, starting from the first one you gave me, the white list, most of the names check out. It's probably the most mundane of them all, aside from a couple of name changes and one missing persons report.
They're still looking, huh?
It's a cold case, but I'm sure someone out there still is.
Wasting their damn time.
Well, moving on to the next list, your red list. I haven't been able to find a single trace of an MMO called Fail Rune. If it ever existed, it's been shut down for a long time and no one else on the internet remembers it. Total case of lost media. Most of the usernames on that list have been changed too.
What about news reports or scientific studies involving unusual lunar activity? Anytime within that 5-year window, and specifically having to do with the Tycho crater.
The only thing I can find is some rantings about moon spiders by tinfoil hat types on dodgy forums. I tried looking into what could be behind it, but the trail ended there.
Because of course that's what carried over. Okay. The blue list?
Yeah, the blue list is the weirdest of them all, actually. Loads of names missing, some changed. A lot of the events you wanted me to look into just flat out never happened. Or if they did, there's no evidence of it. I did find one thing, though. The building you mentioned still exists. But when I went to check it out, it looked like it had been abandoned for years.
Well, that's some closure, at least. Literally,
There's something else that threw me off about it, actually. I wanted to ask...
What you're gonna say, and trust me, the less you know past what I asked for specifically...
Yes, but there's a name on the list that doesn't make sense.
I'm telling you it's nothing!
Why? Why did you have me look into that particular name, then?
Just covering all my bases. Better safe than sorry. Moving on. Please.
Alright then. Keep your secrets. For now. Moving on to the last, the green list. Most people are accounted for here. However, absolutely no trace of this organization you mentioned, nor any real evidence of paranormal activity linked to it. There are rather unreliable accounts of similar instances to the ones you listed, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, that tracks. And it's one less thing to worry about. No competition for our own great work.
Great indeed. So, what's the next move?
Keep eyes and ears on the latest UK reports. Pretty sure I remember hearing something about a British cyberlich or something to that effect. Meanwhile, I'll be looking into some recent whispers of a supposed siren popping up in my neck of the woods. Either way, it should only be a matter of time before I call upon you to do what I cannot, at least from my side of the proverbial pond.
Gotcha. I'll keep up my good tier work while you Americans do... whatever Americans do.
Resting on our laurels and willful ignorance while the outside world burns slowly and painfully around us? Yeah, ideally I'd like to accomplish more than that. The good news is that as far as existential anomalies go, most of these things are atypically more personable than all the others I've encountered previously. So, barring any of them figuring out that they're being used as research subjects, I'd say I've got a better chance now at, well, you know, than I ever did before.
Alright, good luck with that. You know how to find me.
For now. But yes, I'll be sure to keep you posted. In fact, I should have an update ready for you by evening's end. Pacific Standard Evening, that is. Time zones always seem to throw me off.
Yeah, I'll definitely be asleep then. But, whatever, I'll catch up. Until next time, Mandela.
10-4, Neo. Mandela out. The less you know, the safer you'll be, Tex. I'm sorry. Okay. No going back now. Never again.
Well, he hasn't changed a bit.
Testing, 1 2 1 2. Testing. Are any of you reading me out there? Testing, 1 2 1 2. Am I coming through clearly? Well then, it seems we've formed a connection. Here we go again. Greetings and felicitations, assorted children of the internet. My god, how many years have I been using that line? For those of you playing the home game, which is to say those of you who are unfamiliar with me, my god, what are you doing here? And for the rest of you, well, I would imagine you're at least somewhat familiar with me. But as a short recap, I've gone by a number of monikers over the years, ranging from the Logician, the Neurotic Logician if you're nasty, Cybernetic Pink Eye Productions, the Griffin. I'll get into the details as to why I chose those names, but suffice it to say, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. I am in fact throwing my hat into the proverbial ring that is VTubing, or PNG tubing, as the case may be. I've noticed that this has been a particularly popular means of garnering attention as of late, so I figured I might as well, maybe not abuse, but experiment with this medium, so I can see if I can't get my voice out there. For reasons, don't worry about it. Anyway, if my research is even remotely accurate, one of the prerequisites of this particular debut, as I believe the children call it, is the obligatory introductory PowerPoint presentation. So, with that in mind, I have prepared a brief and hopefully summary explanation as to what you can expect from this little experiment of mine. So, let's go through the details, shall we? As I mentioned before, I see someone has helped themselves to my files. Honestly, I shouldn't have been even remotely surprised here. Let's all just try to be professional about this, shall we? As I mentioned before, I primarily go by the Logician. You might occasionally hear me referred to as Griffin. I'll get into the finer details behind that later. I was, in fact, born, I suppose you could say, on October 18th. Fun fact, this particular biological vessel of mine actually came into existence during a certain earthquake which famously ravaged San Francisco in 1989. I'm sure there's no connection there whatsoever. For all intents and purposes, I am in fact human. Once again, no reason to read too much into that. I am, as the children say, a tall boy, standing at about 6 feet 2 inches. Those of you who live in countries around the world that don't use the unfortunately monikered freedom units, feel free to convert that at your own time. Contrary to what the cheap tag job is implying here, I actually wear a number of hats when it comes to my occupation. I am, in fact, a neuroscientist, having earned various degrees and licenses in fields of biology, psychology, and so on and so forth. A critic of social media, society at large. I suppose one could say I am a self-imposed paranormal investigator, or at least... what's a polite way to put this? Thank you very much for the follow, I appreciate that. Conspiracy theorist, I hesitate to delve into that particular terminology, but, I mean, there are few better ways to describe it. I was born, raised, and reborn, once again, don't worry about it, in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Fun fact, the Pacific Northwest, specifically Oregon, actually has the highest rate of paranormal sightings, quote-unquote, among all the states. Hence the inspiration behind such series as Twin Peaks, Gravity Falls, etc., etc. Now, where exactly I am broadcasting from, I will leave that up to your, I'm sure, vivid imaginations. Now, the basis on why I'm doing this is that I have a long-standing tradition of trying to get my voice out there and a message of overall societal betterness through self-education through various means. YouTube, Twitch, other video hosting sites, and I've dabbled in a number of means through which to try and solidify that. Short-form rant videos, movie reviews during a certain peak in popularity of a certain person with a certain pair of glasses, who will remain unnamed. Longer-form video essays, and this is just one more means through which I hope to accomplish this. Along the way, I've found that I have a knack for a number of different media production skills, including but not limited to voice acting, audio engineering, video editing, singing. The list goes on. But as I said, most recently, I've discovered a peak in popularity of a certain particularly interesting genre of streamers known as VTubers. These particularly elusive and yet varied cryptids are popping up all over the place, and so I figured I might as well learn all I can from them by getting about as chummy as I can with most of them, to see what I can't take away from, well, their unique field of expertise. Now, getting back to what I mentioned before, wearing a lot of, I suppose, name pins, as it were. Well, the basis behind the Logician name is okay. You know, I don't have to put up with this. I will spare you the elaboration for now, I suppose, and delve into the reasoning behind another name of mine. Why Griffin, of all mythological creatures? Well, contrary to popular belief, the origins of the Griffin itself are not limited to Greek mythology. Much like the dragon, the Griffin pops up in a number of different forms, and under a lot of different names throughout history and across the planet, like the Pardon me, I was just swallowing a certain someone's bullshit, someone who may or may not have been tampering with this presentation. Thank you so very much for the follows, I appreciate it immensely. But yes, in Assyria, there's a certain beast known as the Lamassu, a protector deity representing the parent stars of the zodiac. In Sumerian and Akkadian, there was the Anzu, and of course with the Hittites and the Hebrews, the Keruv and Ziz. The Persians and the Iranians had their Shurdal, a protector from evil, witchcraft, and secret slander, which has become a lot more prevalent in my personal life over the years. And fuck you. Okay, fine, moving on. I believe this is the part of the presentation where I tend to dip into my preferences. Well, from the academic standpoint, I enjoy reading into a number of different topics, mainly biomechanical engineering. At one point, I was in fact studying to develop advanced prosthesis and orthotics, evolutionary anthropology, astrophysics, behavioral neuroscience, which is my bread and butter, existentialist philosophy, social criticism, critical media analysis. Once again, pointed glance at my movie reviews and long-form video essays. I will spare you the excessive elaboration, but just know that my interests are eclectic, to say the very least. On the active side of things, I actually enjoy cooking. At one point, I was considering a career in the culinary arts. I was looking into going to culinary school, but ultimately decided that a career in the sciences would be more apt. Audio engineering, video editing, voice acting, as I mentioned before. My vocal range has earned me somewhat of a reputation over the years. As you can see, it's got a bit of a range to it. And as for the... fuck you. I'm not that type of VTuber. Alright? Oh, okay, fuck you! Anyway, that about sums up the basis of this presentation. Of course, I need to give a shout out to a number of individuals out there, and Lorelei for creating the background art that you will see at various points throughout this stream, as well as the sprites you see. The current updated iteration of my logo was provided by Gaelic Knox. The music that you are currently hearing was initially composed by Unirob and updated to its current iteration by Comidrian. A few details as to where I got the footage for my base intro. And once again, the nitty-gritty, in case any lawyers come after me. And of course, a shout out to the varied VTubers who I referenced in that particular panel earlier, including Chi-Chi, Hunchwan Bats, Comidrian, Purpa, The Cloudy Bun, Gaelic Knox, Bite, VT, Taiga Corn, Pinky, Showlear, Goblin for Coin, Silver Wings, and Boomba. And if any of you have any issues with representation without a lawyer present, feel free to take that up with me at a later date. But anyway, moving on to another segment that you may see pop up every now and then on this stream. The fan art page. Yes, believe it or not, I actually have gotten a number of pieces of fan art over the years. Whether it's been in reference to certain Let's Plays I've been in, or other video projects, I've gotten a lot of these, and many of them are honestly astonishing in terms of the overall quality, and I am never one to object to getting future pieces of fan art, so if you are ever interested, feel free to post them to Twitter with the hashtag CyberneticPinkEye. Then again, I've been told by certain authorities that the certain letters involved in that username have unfortunate implications, so I may have to go about rebranding at some point, but I digress. I am never one to turn down fan art, and it would be greatly appreciated. But once again, it is never obligatory. I just want to put that out there. Anyway, I suppose with that being said, since we are at the end of that presentation, I suppose we can get to the questions and comments portion of the stream, in case any of you were frothing at the bits to ask any questions. You will have to forgive me for the pacing of this stream. This is not exactly my forte. Why does this PNG tuber keep mocking you? Well, that's because of my smug aura. I've been told it's been something representative, or at least reminiscent, if I'm actually going to use the language properly, of DreamWorks posters. Why are you so cute? Incorrect. Next question. Is your dad a Bigfoot? Boy, howdy, that's a loaded question. Moving on. Ah, my word. Are you a Danganronpa character? You know, you have no idea how funny that question is, considering I actually did once get a rendering of myself as a certain individual who will remain nameless with certain aesthetic features that match my own. All I will say is that he has white hair and is rather infamous for sharing a particular piece of fan work with a certain smug skeleton. I'll leave the rest up to your imagination. Next question. Will you acknowledge your PNG artist? Well, I attempted to earlier. The person behind my current set of sprites is in fact M. Lorelei, who I am, if only begrudgingly, extremely thankful for bringing this aspect of my self-expression to life. Looking through more of these questions here. Of course, I see someone dipping into my gaming tastes. Why do you hate side quests? Primarily because in the grand majority of my own gaming experiences, they have been a complete and utter waste of time and have killed any and all interest I had in that game in the long run. Honestly, I'm the type of person who is very much one and done when it comes to story-driven games, at least the story-driven games that only have one set ending. When it comes to games that have multiple endings, I will play through them a plethora of different times, trying a plethora of different options and play styles. But when it comes to games that have one set ending, I usually put them down not long after I finish them. Not a comment on the quality of the game overall, just a personal preference. Let me see here. Mythical birds. Yes, there are a number of people who go by the moniker Phoenix. It is yet another unique set of circumstances that tend to follow me wherever I go. And I suppose, on that note, since we brought up the subject of gaming, I should probably delve into another portion of tonight's space entertainment. I figured, with this being my very first stream, I might as well kick the gaming portion of these streams off by playing the very first console game that ever caught my interest. This may be somewhat of a surprise to many of you, but I did in fact get started with console gaming with Super Mario World. And I thought it was only fitting that I kick off this portion of the stream with this particular game. Now keep in mind, as is the case with many VTubers, I don't claim to be a quote-unquote MLG gamer. So, chances are you're going to see a lot of flubs here. Then again, that seems to be the case with most decisions in my life, so, hey. Why not keep up with the theme? Oh yeah, some of you may also be curious as to why I chose Friday the 13th of all dates to stream on. Well, once again, a number of reasons. Chief among them being that was just kind of convenient for me. Having to line up with my availability. Another reason, which I recently discovered, I figured it would be an opportunity for reclamation of the date, as supposedly Friday the 13th started out as a pagan holiday set to celebrate divine femininity and good fortune. As with most things in life, the patriarchy ruins everything. Let's see. Once again, I have to remember how to ground pound if that's even an option. Oh, well, I think I just answered my own question. It is Saturday there. Congratulations on living in the future. I'm sure it's just as horrible there. Alright, now let me see here. Oh, joy of joys. There we are. Oh. Once again, my decisions have left me in a precarious position. Let's see. Ay, baba. Let's see here. Wait. And... well. Once again, I'm not a completionist, so it's... no skin off my bones, as it were. Oh, yes, this lovely individual. Oh! No. It wouldn't be the first time my life flashed before my eyes after a sports-related incident. Although I can't exactly say the incident in question for me was exactly sports-related. At least, if you don't count the arts. Oh yeah, something you'll probably hear me ramble on about is a number of incidents that nearly cost me my life in humorous ways. Like, for example, the time I ended up breaking both my arms and catching bronchial pneumonia during a theater, movement, and mime class in undergrad. I promise you it's just as absurd as it sounds. Oh, wow. There we are. Story time? Well, if you insist. Now, keep in mind this was, in fact, during undergrad, and undergrad, I was a very different person with very different goals in life. The series of events which led to me becoming the person that I am today, it's complicated. As is the case with most convoluted VTuber origins, but anyway, that's another story. For now, just know that with this particular story, the absurdity is simply inherent in the injury. There we are. Now, yes. So, what happened was, I was in a theater, movement, and mime class, and I was paired up with another individual so that we could practice slapstick that day. He pushed me. Well, he set up for the push. He said, "I'm gonna push you." I said, "Yes, that's fine." He says, "You're probably gonna fall." I said, "Yeah, don't worry about it." Ended up pushing me a bit harder than I expected, and so I fell flat on my ass and attempted to brace the fall with my hands, and I found myself all but completely stunned for about a full minute. My own personal Saving Private Ryan moment, as it were, complete with the ringing in the ears. Now, let's see. Yes, from there, the instructor checked on me and sent me off to the Student Health Center. And once I got there, I got the pleasure of waiting in the empty waiting room, mind you, for the better part of an hour. Once again, keep in mind I was the only person there. Once they actually got to examining me, I supposedly passed out for about a solid 10 seconds. And by passed out, I mean I supposedly just sat in place mumbling to myself. And after that, they went ahead and took their x-rays, and they showed that I had a radial fracture in my right forearm. So they put me in a brace and sling and sent me on my way. I went back to my dorm room. Funnily enough, you will find that my quote-unquote VTuber lore does in fact involve my dorm room, but once again, another time. Anyway, I got to my dorm room, I called my family and friends and let them know what had happened and that I was fine, and just as I was about to have my first meal of the day, and mind you, this was around 4 p.m., I got a call on my phone from the Student Health Center, who got to tell me, "Hey, turns out you broke your other arm too, why don't you come on back and we'll set you up." So, I go back to the health center, get to spend another 45 minutes waiting in the empty waiting room. They brace me up, they sling me up. Oop. Get back here. They brace me up, sling me up, so by the time I walk out of there, I have both my arms crossed over my chest like Imhotep from The Mummy, and I am now incapable of feeding myself. So I had to stay with a relative for a solid month. And not long after that, I came down with bronchial pneumonia, and the cherry on top of this whole situation, this all happened just before finals week and the debut gig of my band, and I was the lead singer and guitar player at the time. So it was really just the perfect storm of events, just compounding themselves into one humorous later on, but in the moment hellish anecdote. So. But I'm sure we all have those hell on earth stories that are just fond memories we can look back on later in life, don't we? There we are. See, I always was under the impression that the pink fruits were somewhat special. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it really makes much of a difference. Sort of like the different flavors of tricks, you know? They're all sort of the same lovely coma-inducing combination of natural flavors, quote-unquote. Milk toast. Funnily enough, that's probably been one of my nicknames in college over the years. At least I would assume so. Let's see. When you break a new body part, you just get a new part. You know, in a perfect world, I think we would all like to have that similar convenience, show. Nowadays, it's an easy enough thing for me to remedy. Once again, story for another time. But at the time, I was very much typically reliant on the American healthcare system, as are most human beings. And let me tell you, it's not fun to deal with. The veritable rainforest of red tape is a source of ongoing anxiety for millions of people in this country. Let's see here. You know, one thing I appreciate about this aesthetic for Yoshi, and fun fact, this was actually Yoshi's debut game in the series. I am relatively certain that in most future installments of the Mario Bros. Franchise, that whenever Mario was riding atop Yoshi, they would include a bongo track on top of the regular game soundtrack. I could be mistaken about that, but I'm relatively certain that's the case. But hey, I'm not Matt Pat, so don't count on me to give my ironclad arguments to that effect. There we are. Might as well cover our bases. Despite being an avid equestrian, getting on horses that are not yet broken in, as well as point blank, getting run over by a herd of them, you've never had a broken bone. Get good. You know? Next time I'm caught in the middle of a stampede, I will keep that in mind. Nifty information to have. Yet knowing my luck, they'll probably be more prevalent to my daily life than I have come to expect. Ah yes, I forgot things were timed. God forbid I don't get the achievement that I normally would get from this type of game in a modern iteration. Oh well. You know? Once again, capitalism corrupts. Well, literally there, as I seem to have dislodged myself from the fabric of reality. Sooner than expected, anyway. There we are. Stone Age facts. Stone Age facts, Stone Age facts. Well, why don't you grace us with some of those Stone Age facts, Chili? I'm always open to new sources of trivial information. For example, gravity exists. You know, it's ironic. This was my first console game, and yet turtles are actually one of my favorite animals. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't belong. Well. Evidently, I won't be getting into Olympic hopscotch anytime soon. There we are. Do you have a dual monitor? No, because I don't have ADHD. This has been an ongoing joke between myself and peers for a long time now. I am one of those individuals who can unfortunately only focus on one thing at a time, hence the single monitor setup I'm currently working with. Much to the chagrin of literally anyone who asks me. There we are. Yes, I'm sure many people would call it yet another skill issue. The funny thing is, whenever anyone mentions that it's a skill issue, having only one monitor, I always imagine them saying that while looking in two separate directions like a chameleon, as I unfortunately cannot fathom any other means through which people could maintain their sanity. Oh, well. Literally swimming upstream with this one. There we are. Alright, delving into rhythm game territory there. Alright. Can confirm. Thank you, Hermano. I appreciate the cross-referencing. And yes, absolutely no shame in lurking. Everyone's got their various comfort levels when it comes to watching streams. I know I certainly have my comfort levels when it comes to streaming in general. Alright. Now, here's the funny thing about this. I mentioned earlier that this game was my exposure to console gaming. And yet, I never owned a SNES. The way I played this game was on the rare occasion when I was traveling with my family, and we happened upon a hotel room that had an emulated version of the SNES. So yes, I legitimately got it started in gaming with an emulator. Console gaming, specifically. You know, I may have shot myself in the foot there. Alright. Oh, you know? Probably would have behooved me to remember that particular detail. Oh. Oh. Hard mode, I suppose. Alright. Let's give this another shot. You know? There we are. Hey, would you look at that? Controls work. If you use them as intended. Who would have thunk it? You know, I'm sure that info dump was fascinating, Shane. It's just a shame that I didn't see any of it. Once again, it is very difficult for me to divide my attention properly. Alright, now. Maybe I'll stand a fighting chance here. I do remember the tactic here. It's just a matter of... There we are. It has been a veritable minute since I've beaten any of the bosses in this game. Then again, I don't think I ever made it past the second or third level as a child. You know, there's a euphemism in there somewhere. Continue and save. Oh! I really forgot about these buggers. Honestly, though, there we go. Ah, well. I do appreciate... well. Or at least I would appreciate it if I implemented it properly. But I appreciate the detail that getting the cape in Super Mario World automatically gives you the boon of what you would automatically get have you acquired a mushroom. Just one of those little additional gifts that the game gives you that makes you thankful for the design. I see. Branching out to other sports, huh? Regular Michael Jordan. Ow. Well, no love lost. Ow. Let's see here. Evolutionary anthropology. Yes, it's actually a fascinating subject, which I will not bore you with for the time being. But just seeing the natural progression of our species over the better part of anywhere between 100,000 to 200 or rather 2 million years. I promise you I can count. I remember reading a fascinating book to that effect, which essentially explained the origins of humanity as being a coping mechanism for having lost a vocal conscience, as it were. I believe it was The Origins of Consciousness and the Breakdown of Bicameral Mind. Basically, the voices in our heads that we were interpreting as deities eventually went silent, and so we had to start thinking for ourselves. Of course, it's an interesting theory. Of course, I say theory, but the man starts the book off by explicitly saying that he cherry-picked all of his data. So, once again, complete and utter horseshit, but it's a fun concept to think about. Yes, be prepared to hear a lot of, I suppose, scientific mumbo-jumbo that may need an explanation or two to get through. That is what you can expect from many of my streams. Well, down to 3. forget? Ah, yes. You know, I've proven useful. Now, let me see if I can recall. Alright. Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh dear. Well. It appears I may or may not have trapped myself. I admittedly don't recall what these little corner pieces do. Wow. Run up the wall. Yes, I'm sure I would love to do that if I could remember how. Oh, well. Once again, ask and common sense will deliver, I suppose. There we are. There we are. Okay. I'm trying to remember how I float about. Is it simply... No, wait, I think I'm thinking of Mario 3, where you could float. Mario 3 was always... Oh, well, there we are. Yes. Well, once again, the scientific method dictates that there should be a good degree of experimentation when it comes to a lot of these methods. Alright. Oof. That's road burn. I do appreciate the tutorial level they let you experiment with here. Oh, well, that's convenient. There we are. Oh, well, right back into the fray. Oh. And nothing of note was accomplished. I hope you don't miss those 5 minutes that you're never getting back. Once again, you're not here for my gaming expertise. You know? Once again, scientific method dictates something may have to give. So. Ah, this thing. There we are. And then... Alright, well. Oh. Alright. Oh. Sorry, I thought I was playing a platformer, not a shmup. Alright. Yep. Well. Are we gonna get a game over in the first non-tutorial area of the game, you know? It is, in fact, entirely possible. Yoshi abandoned me? Honestly, given the number of concussions I've given him, I don't blame him. Ah, yes. Right in the pinky toe. Well, I mean, once again, your powers of prediction, Lorelei, are nothing short of astonishing. Ah, my word. Is the halo necessary, Nintendo? Well, we might as well keep this trolley problem train a-rolling. It really is us in a nutshell. For the uninitiated, there is a long-standing history between Lorelai and I, where she will invoke something only for it to immediately come to pass. One instance that always comes to mind for me is that we were both looking out at the weather, which was coming down in a veritable downpour of rain, and she came out and said, "I just didn't expect it to rain this hard." Mere moments later, rain stops, clouds part, sun shines, and I'm pretty sure a rainbow followed not too terribly long after. Another instance that comes to mind was when we were watching, I believe she was taking me through the series Friends at the time, and because of the time difference we were dealing with, she was 2 hours ahead of me, and it was around 9:59, just about to turn 10 p.m., and at one point Joey looks to one of the characters and says, "Wait, is it October 20th? And I looked over to my clock, and it was 10 p.m. on the dot my time, and with Lorelai being 2 hours ahead, I said, well, if it wasn't before, it is now. At which point we had to pause the episode and just hold our ribs laughing for the better part of 5 minutes. Once again, the sitcom timing is real. There we are. Mighty Steed. You know? Oh no, it's one of the reasons you've been on my list of topics of interest as well, Lorelai. Whatever you're doing or not doing to manipulate the powers that be, I'm gonna get to the bottom of it one of these days. Need a chat reader, you're focusing on not perishing, let you know. Thankfully, my current setup is such that I can just shift my glance over if need be. This plant. Don't know what it is about this plant in particular. Oh my word. You know? There we go. Ah. One of these days I should find a way to play Raiden. Which, for those who don't know, was a fairly popular, and, in my opinion, one of the better quality shmups of the 90s. Many a quarter were forever lost in the Raiden machine in my local bowling alley. There's another time, another life. Ah. You. Well, I'm sure Yoshi's living happy and free now. Oh, well. You know, I'm thinking back to the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. One of many Disney scenes that I'm sure many children at the time found unreasonably frightening. Fun fact, when I was a particularly young child, I remember my mother took me to see The Lion King in theaters, and my impression of The Lion King at the time was, oh, it's about lions, and that was literally all I knew of it. I remember hearing the sound of lions roaring, coming from the theater inside. I wasn't entirely certain if the movie was already in progress. But I became so existentially frightened, for whatever reason, because the concept of lions just eating a person alive caused my very soul to shake, that I refused to go into the theater, and ultimately my mother had to take me home without us seeing the movie. May have something to do with the fact that my father took me to see Anthony Hopkins' The Edge when I was around 7 years old. Peak parenting. Are you... This is why you save, kids. This is why you always save. I mean, chances are we're not going to be seeing most of this map, so let's take a gander, shall we? Donut Plains. I hesitate to ask what part of the donut this represents. Maybe just the stale part that was left out in the display case for too long. Yes, please, Kikyo, by all means save. Save at every opportunity. Control S is, in fact, your friend. Ah, yes. The sunken ship of my enthusiasm for voodoo donuts. Well, there we are. Once more with gusto. Well, that took the gusto right out of me. You're about to chew about. You'll do that anyway, Lorelei. Let's be reasonable here. At what point was chewing me out not in your daily criteria? The joke here is that Lorelei is my roommate. See, I'm tempted to say I'm doing pretty well, all things considered, but I know that because of the... Well, there you go. Let me just allowing certain permissions in the chat, don't mind me. Just enjoy this Mario Paint snowstorm in all of its glory. Hello and welcome to ASMR Time with Cybernetic Pink Eye. Please don't mind the axe chewing through my bedroom door in the background. Ah, my word. Anyway. Yes, I can hear you, and I'm pretty sure the entire stream can hear you as well. Yes, mayhaps. Cameo from M. Lorelei, ladies, gents, and everyone in between. Ah, my goodness. You know, at one point I should probably bring in some ASMR music to have general chill chats. Then again, I don't exactly consider myself an ASMR artist. I believe that's how the kids phrase it these days. I could be mistaken. You're a bad influence? Welcome to the club fee. Kick it down. Bold of you to assume she has not tried, Kikyo. Oh yes, I believe that may have slipped my mind. Is this having the intended outcome, Kikyo? Are you receiving me? It has been a minute since I have used that voice for evil. My word. Let's just say that started out as a self-defense instinct that has since been weaponized over the years. Anyway, back to fun times. Another day at the batting cages. Honestly, it surprises me that there aren't more industrial-grade accidents at batting cages. Because when you have a hunk of leather and thread hurled at 100 miles an hour at unsuspecting children with flimsy bats, you would think there'd be more hospital visits in that general area. Oh, for... Through the maelstrom of baseballs there. There we go. Alright, thank you for attending, Killer Rhubarb. It's much appreciated that you dropped by. Ah, my word. I forgot how to save there. Well, I'm sure this won't come back to bite me. Slow and steady. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Taking my mount into a cramped cave. Thank you very much for the follow. It is much appreciated. You know, honestly, this makes me think back to vacations I took as a child to Mount Shasta. And Lake Shasta, to be honest. That particular part of California will forever hold dear memories for me. Unfortunately, the rest of California was bad enough that I got the fuck out of Dodge as soon as humanly possible. I mean, when one of the places you're most famous for is literally called Death Valley, you may want to think about some rebranding. That's all I'm saying. You know? Hate to see him go, but I love to watch him leave. Maybe because of that excellent sprite animation. I should have seen that coming from a mile away. A town called Dull. You know? I'm sure there's a wild night scene in Dull. And if I learned anything from Hot Fuzz, it's that with towns in the UK, looks can very much be deceiving. Also, do not watch Hot Fuzz if you are squeamish. That is all I'm saying. Honestly, the only movie I could stomach throughout that whole trilogy was World's End. And that's mainly because all the blood was replaced with blue goo. Oh, well. Nah. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. And then there was one. Alaska has a city named Tok. I mean, the jokes write themselves. All right. One for the road. Of course. Well. Okay. Well. I think that Mario has graced us with his presence for long enough for one evening. So, I suppose now is as good a time as any to check in. How are all of you feeling tonight? Satisfied with my performance as one of your own? The halo is my fault. You know damn well I am anything but a saint. Doing great. Doing good. Tired and heated. Well, that sounds like a personal problem, Kikyo. Ah, boy. UK also has Pound Town. I mean, listen. That's the end of that statement. Listen. You're given hands to draw and little to no morals. This is your warning. I somewhat knew that once we became associates, Gaelic. The warning has been long since issued. Ah, yes. It is a joy to sift through the permissions in this chat, although I'm not entirely certain what I expected. I mean, the fact that any of you showed up is a little more than what I initially expected, but I digress. Ah, my word. Now let me see if I can bring up anything else for the evening. I do have one idea, if you will humor me for just a moment. I can bring this up. Pardon me while I deal with some lovely technical difficulties on my end, just seeing if I can get a certain something to function as intended. As it was not initially part of my plan for the evening. But hey, as a number of people have told me, what is a VTuber stream without a bit of scuff? So, let me see if I can get this unexpected development to work. Let me see here. I mean, I suppose this is just more reason to listen to Comidrian and Unirob's fantastic music, so, yay. Speaking of, if any of you are in the market for some custom music, I highly recommend checking out Comidrian. He is a phenomenally talented Brazilian tiefling bard VTuber, and I believe he is currently open for commissions if you ever want to get some custom music made. And let me see here. Ah, my goodness. Well, we might not necessarily be able to get the particular thing I was hoping to launch, but let's see. Yes, I know you're all waiting on bated breath for what must surely be the showstopper of the ages. Everyone has a listen emote for Griffin. You know, it's only a matter of time before I get one of those. One more time, and if I can't get this to work... Okay. Well, I guess we're going with Plan B then. Will this work? Well, look at that. Maybe a bit off the beaten path, but we got there in the end. Now let me see. Pay no heed to the nebulous void in the background there. This will actually cooperate. There we go. Now, it is entirely possible that many of you have never heard of this game, but this was in fact a staple of my childhood. I could not tell you how it came to be, why it came to be, but this was, in fact, one of the most frequently rented games from my local Blockbuster as a child. Fever dream that it is, which, once again, very much on brand for me. And of course, from this plethora of characters, all unique and special in their own right, we have Davy, Jack, Fred, and Bowtie. After all, you have to have the token girl character. I mean, I think we all knew that I was going to go with the green option. It's beautiful weather.
Busy, busy, busy. No time to waste. Oh dear, I'm running late.
Take care, Kikyo. Thank you for dropping by. Why is he in such a hurry? Yes. Into the pot of LSD we go. The curious young chameleon follows the rabbit. I think you all know where this is going. But look, the chameleon has changed shape. I wonder where that rabbit went. I wonder where that fish did go. This was from an interesting era in the shelf life of the N64. So, as you can hazard a guess, this is a 3D platformer, and I wasn't a fan of many of those as a child. However, the gimmick is that you can catch things, grab onto them, and swing yourself with your tongue. This is Jungle Land, the gateway to the mysterious world. Have I mentioned that I'm a professional voice actor? Just keep that in mind. Go to the training room if you need to practice tongue and body control. Once again, the jokes write themselves. Now, you can probably hazard a guess that these people were very much thinking on their feet when it came to collectibles. What did the game characters collect? Hearts, crowns, jewelry, yeah, everything that's inherent to the lore of a chameleon. The kids will love it. So not only can you capture enemies with your tongue, you can also use them as projectiles. Ah yes, the chameleon's natural predator, the hedgehog. Now let me see. You can bring yourself over there, or swing yourself around. Remember some of these controls because it has been a hot minute. You just sent first fan art? Well, one moment while I take a look at that. You know, I can't say I blame you. We just, let me see if I can't share this with the rest of the world. Because I feel like this does, in fact, need to be shared. Ah, my word. Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to lose any progress, so of course we need to save this. Okay! Alright then, now let me see if I can't bring this up for all of you lovely viewers to see. Let's see, image... Save this. Right. Oh, my word. I promise your suspense will be worth the wait. This is the reward I get for my time today. I mean, honestly, I could think of worse icons to model myself after. Not gonna lie, I rocked the skirt. Alrighty then. Back to business. There. Now let me see here. Now this, children, is why you have to practice proper tongue and body control. Don't teach enough of this in schools these days. How am I missing every single... Oh, it's because I'm not close enough. There we are. I mean, something grapefruit technique joke. You know, I'm starting to wonder if this was some sort of jab at Sonic. Which is actually kind of hilarious, considering this guy would never be able to outrun him. But then again, you don't need to outrun what you can gun down with your fellow brethren. Oh, yes, there we are. The sneaky tactics of the hedgehog. Ah, yes. Let's see here. Once again, the chameleon's natural predator. Now, admittedly, I am not a dedicated herpetologist, but what would be the natural predator to the chameleon? Now that I think about it. Technique you could use is standing on the tip of your tongue, or was that in Chameleon Twist 2? Yes, let me repeat myself, Chameleon Twist 2. This game got a sequel. And for whatever reason, they made the chameleon far more chameleon-like in said sequel. Maybe just some weird feedback they got, but yes. Snakes, you know, that would make sense. Snakes, birds of prey. RuPaul. I mean, because honestly, honey, that color scheme. You know, if you had asked me 10 years ago if I would be binging RuPaul's Drag Race with a bunch of VTubers as a near weekly form of recreation, I probably would have called you a number of different names. But I have since learned a number of things about myself over the years. Have been eye-opening. Now, this is what I remember the gimmick having to be, so... What was it? I need to get here, and then... Now, then... Need to... That was the other way around. Was it left or was it right? I know it's one of these. It's not that button, that's for sure. No, I can go around one. Is it not that? Alright, let's try again. That's what it was. Okay. Shh. I promise I'm not using an emulator. Don't worry about it. taking me that way. Once again, you did not come here for my gaming skills. At least I hope not, otherwise you would have been extremely disappointed, which that might still be the case for some of you, but hey, thus is life. That's what it was. I needed to shift the stick, which honestly could be said about a lot of solutions to life's problems. Oh. Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever learned how to drive a stick shift. See, I have mixed feelings about this particular enemy type because, yes, they're just generic spiders, but they also very much remind me of the Pokemon Joltik, which has become a very close to the heart favorite of mine. Let's see. I need to find another solution to that. Oh, good. Yeah, I had a feeling. Alright. There. Oh, well. You know. Your typical chameleon ability. You know, I really wish there were an in-game camera for me to turn around. Oh, well. Once again, you know what you came here for. There we go. I suppose I will have to suffer the curse of not 100%ing Chameleon Twist. I know. It's a stain on my reputation as a VTuber already. Oh, you! You know, spiders and golems. Like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, that's actually funny that I say that now, considering that later on we'll run into a level comprised entirely of food, which you all should have seen coming. You know? To practice your drills in the yard. You know, I imagine this would be at least somewhat more intimidating if they weren't lining up for the local parade. But hey. Who am I to judge? Oh, there we are. You know, I would imagine maybe the presence of an outsider might have somewhat of an impact on how they practice their drills. Now, let me see if I can reach. Oh, almost. Ah. Just out of reach. Wait, wasn't there? I could have sworn. There was a technique I could use. Wait. Oh, no. Could have sworn there was some sort of tutorial. But then again, this is why you go to the practice room, kids. Once again, where else are you going to learn proper body and tongue control? Ah, there's the key component there. Almost. Ah, almost. Swing and a miss. There we are. We got there in the end. Not sure why you need to jump back down, but once again, life is all about creating obstacles to unnecessarily prolong the experience. It's not the destination, as they say, it is in fact the journey. Though I believe the modern colloquialism for that mindset is copium. I could be mistaken, but hey, I'm trying to remain hip with the children. Alright. There we are. I'm not sure why I found that necessary, but hey, once again, it is in fact a learning experience. Don't think I've properly touched this game in the better part of 20 or so odd years. So I'm sure there is some room for error, as it were. Well, sort of botched the dismount, but hey. Not quite. Well, seems we do in fact have to go the long way around. So I suppose this raises another interesting question for those of you who are still paying attention, which, if you are, bless you, you have nothing to do on your weekend other than to accompany me. What was your first gaming experience? Specifically having to do with console gaming, I suppose. As I tiptoe my way along here. Pokemon Yellow, you know? That explains a lot of things, Emmett. It genuinely does. Super Mario Bros. On the NES. Nice, classic. Super Mario World on your parents' SNES. You know, I had the feeling we had something else in common, Show. You know. As you do. Not exactly the most glorious boss fountain, but hey. You know? I wonder if they were trying to invoke a certain popular series by Akira Toriyama. The usual suspects in a cave system. gorillas, hedgehogs. The bats are actually the first one that makes a lick of sense, but hey. I'm not here to invoke the irate gamer. What were they thinking? I mean, I will say the one criticism is the fact that they have an apparent Shine Sprite ringtone playing infinitely in the background. I mean, you choose your own mood music, as it were. I'm not the boss here. Now, once again, I wonder what the goal here is. If I go down, I'm taking you with me! I'm sure he's fine. Game over. Congratulations, second time! Now, I'm sure what they meant was that I got second place among the total level times. But that just sort of implies that I've gone through this game more than once, which on this particular file, not so much. But hey. Maybe it's just taking a page out of Lorelei's book and choosing to be prophetic. Also, hello Zach. Thank you for gracing us with your wholesome presence. The best ambiance. Shiny harp. I mean, it worked in Spyro the Dragon. Now, I'm guessing that the pole vaulting tongue is a technique I'll have to implement, if not in the next game, then at least in a later level. Swarms of ants are on the march in Antland! Also, water's wet! Deep underground! I mean, both are in fact underground. On and on they come, blocking Jack's way! Awfully kind of you to refer to me as though I were not here. Also, there's an obvious political allegory I could make here, but I will choose not to make it, so that you can make it yourselves. Ah, yes. Nice way to come out as bi. That wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but hey. Art is subjective. You know? Perhaps I've gotten a bit cocky. Tons of ants in Antland, imagine that, folks. I'm sure this bodes well. Once again, not initially the allegory I had in mind, but hey. I imagine I may have to take out the overseers, as it were, here. There we go. VIP access. No. Well. Live and learn. Speaking of, how many of you feel comfortable with the relatively recent casting of Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog? I ask not because I have much invested in it, so much as I'm just curious about people's perspectives on the whole celebrity casting trend that continues with virtually every video game movie that's come out in the last 10 years. I imagine this might require... Oh, wait. There we go. I mean, honestly, I do believe the voice fits for him. I do wish it unfortunately didn't come with the territory of yet another voice role not being given to a voice actor, but once again, many classically trained actors have gone on to do excellent voice work. I think of the likes of Tim Curry, Patrick Stewart, so on and so forth. So I think it just comes down to, will this mean more voice work for Keanu Reeves in the future? I don't necessarily think so. I'm confident in his ability to play the role well, however. Oh boy. Well, you know, probably should have put 2 and 2 together. I believe he was at least used as the visual model for a certain character in Cyberpunk, yes. I think I may have to take out all of the foot soldiers, as it were. Oh, what? What? There we go. Yes, it's entirely possible that he did play the voice role. I admittedly don't know nearly enough about Cyberpunk to be able to say one way or the other. I'm unfortunately just more familiar with the unfortunate launch date glitches that are inherent of Cyberpunk. But then again, I'm a Pokemon fan. Who am I to judge when it comes to that particular trend? These things. It's like that feeling of when you go to a family reunion or even just go to work, and there's that one person or group of people that you know you have to just spend a good chunk of the day, rather. Well, depending on your relationship with these people, it might be the other case as well. But a good chunk of the day dealing with, and you're like, well, I mean, you're not my first choice of people to associate with, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yes, chunk of the gay. Let's see here. Oh, well. 1 for the money. Two for the show. And no, I don't mean you, show. give it another college try. There we are. Keanu is legitimately just a cool guy who shares her birthday. That is true, for those of you who don't know. M. Lorelai shares a birthday with Keanu Reeves. Let's see, is there anything over this one? Once again, this is where an in-game camera control would really come in. Ah, I mean, listen, Jack is honestly a lot like most of us. Sure, many of us don't like to admit that we bloat this much after a big meal, but hey. You know, I'm sure there's also an allegory here about taking advantage of your coworkers to stick it to upper management. Maybe I'm just pulling a typical me and reading a bit too much into things. Or maybe I just have that movie Office Space on the mind, which I really need to watch again. It has been a good number of years since I last saw it. I just wanted my steak. You share your birthday with William Shatner. Well, honestly, I think the last I ever saw of William Shatner was his Comedy Central roast, which is, well, perhaps not the most glamorous of things to remember him by. It is entirely appropriate, if only for George Takei's bit in that production. Just to hear George Takei say, and I quote, "fuck you and the horse you rode in on," to William Shatner. The joke being that he actually rode in on a horse for that production. I remember far more about Comedy Central than I believe I should. There we go. Is there a crown? There is a crown over there. Oh, well. See, this is just proof that I've been spending too much time with Silver Wings. I've become obsessed with collecting the shinies. You know? It's actually hilarious that it ended on a joke with Silver. You share a birthday with Fabio. Unfortunately, the last thing I remember hearing about Fabio was how he got shot in the face by a bird on a theme park ride. And that, unfortunately, will forever be my impression of the man. And unfortunately, the last impression he will have is of that bird on his face. At least as far as I personally am concerned. Well, I think that with all of that being said, this is probably a decent place to call it for this test stream. I would like to thank each and every one of you not only for attending this evening, but also for the number of you know exactly who you are, for supporting me in getting up to this point. Sincerely. Without you, this would not have been even remotely possible. Your appreciation I cannot express in mere words, and I hope that your faith in me moving forward with these streams is at least somewhat well placed. So, until the next time, thank you for tuning in, and have a nice day / evening / time zones are complete and utter horseshit. Thanks for stopping by.